A yoga practitioner is supposed to behave in a particular way in society. So we can call it the ethical rules. Yes, ethical rules are there. Mostly these rules are explained in different religions also. And you have to follow this ethics and all. Yoga also mentions that. But the intention of yoga is somewhat different. It is for the personality development. And we have studied in the first lecture. Yoga is the science of personality development. Total personality development. Not only partial. So behavioral pattern also is a personality of every human being. We say this person is behaving very good, very nice. This person is not behaving properly. Something like we always make the comments. So we observe the behavioral pattern of a person. So definitely it is a part and parcel of the personality. So from this point of view, yoga is improving the personality. So for improvement of the personality, some rules are prescribed by Patanjali. We will know these rules and then we will discuss on that. I will enumerate all 5 first. First rule is ahimsa. These are very common rules. Nothing is new here. But how it is essential for yoga, that I am going to explain. First is ahimsa. All these are Sanskrit words. Himsa is violence. Ahimsa is non-violence. A indicates non. So himsa is violence. Ahimsa is non-violence. Satya, truthfulness. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, celibacy or sexual control. And last one, aparigraha, non-possessiveness. Parigraha is possessiveness, aparigraha is non-possessiveness. Patanjali has explained these 5 in particular. But if you consider the holistic approach, we can say a good behavior in the society is expected from yoga practitioners for development, individual development. And in normal condition also we can accept, because these ethical rules are followed everywhere. We can call these rules as universal also. So Patanjali is not telling anything new. He is telling whatever is existing. And this was existing 2500 years ago also, because this was written 2500 years ago. Presently we have no evidence of the society, how the people were staying, how they were living, how they were behaving. No evidence is available for that period. But from this we can confirm that these are the requirements for good behavior in those days also. And in this present era also, this is essential requirement of a human being. We expect that every human being should follow all this. So we will see one by one. Yama is the first component of Ashtanga Yoga. This is serially first. May not be sequentially, but serially first. These are rules for social discipline, guidelines on how to behave in society. Now these are universal laws. You go anywhere in the world, these are recommended. They are respected everywhere. So we can call it the rules of nature. See, nature also has granted some qualities to human being by birth. And if you study carefully, we can find that these are the qualities given by nature to every human being. So let us consider one by one. Yes, Patanjali recommends that don't use the hard words, use soft words. You can tell anything with soft words also. so that nobody will get hurt. You can tell the fact, you can convince everything, but with soft words, so nobody will get hurt. And third level is beyond consideration, mental violence. Violence in the mind. That means the thought of violence in the mind is called mental violence. And if you give the proper attention, we will find that even the verbal or physical violence originates from the mental violence. Initially there is a thought in the mind. If you want to abuse somebody, you must think first, oh, I want to abuse this fellow, I don't like this. So then you think first, then you use the wrong words. Physical violence, so there is a thought in the mind first, then it is reflected in action. So thought is the origin of violence. And if you remove that, that is easy to some extent. Then there will be no verbal and physical violence. So mental violence is very important. If you control mental violence, you will control the violent thoughts. It will not reflect in oral and physical violence. So you can follow very freely. So control your actions, words and mind. But controlling thought, you have to control mind. That is very difficult. But yoga is designed to control the mind. So yogic practices will help you to control your mind, to control your thoughts. And that will definitely control the actions and words. So this is a general guideline from yoga, Patanjali's. Generate love and compassion towards all living creatures and be happy. Make the others happy and be yourself also. Now these are the guidelines given by Patanjali for the yoga. And these are yoga practitioner is supposed to follow. So the question will arise that following 100% is not possible. Okay, that is okay. Because 100% is not always possible. Even if you appear for certain exam, you won't get 100% marks. You get 50, 60, 70, 80% and you are happy. Same case with this. Yes, Patanjali has explained this total science in very short, 196 lines only. So he is not giving all details. He gives only the targets. This you must remember. Always, this is always there. He gives a target, what is to be achieved at the end of practice and not at the beginning. Beginning stage is totally different. So when I tell you, as Patanjali expects you to follow violence, non-violence, 100%, this is a target. It doesn't mean that with immediate effect you should follow non-violence 100% and then practice yoga. When practicing yoga, you have started practicing yogasana, pranayama, you are feeling better. So you start practicing yama niyama also. You start practicing. It doesn't mean you attain a target immediately. Attaining target may take long time, but doesn't matter. But at least you remember that you have to follow non-violence on mental, verbal and physical level. Fact is fact. Satya is truthfulness. And Satya is referred to the past tense, please note. Whatever happened is happened. So many times, I don't say all, many times we can't tell the fact. There may be some incidences where telling the fact may not be proper. Another example, suppose some patient is checked by a doctor and doctor says no, he is going to die within 15 days. The doctor knows that he is going to die within 15 days. If he tells the patient, oh, you are going to die within 15 days, he will die immediately. So in this case, doctor should not tell the fact, that is the thing. But this we can call it as an emergency, special cases. So there are some special cases where we can hide the fact for betterment of somebody. But not always. So normally always, whenever we get chance, as far as possible, we try to tell the fact. Again the same case, 100% is not possible. Doesn't matter. Whatever is possible, you start. If you are violating 100 times, you violate 99 times. At least follow it for one time at least. So again, you have to think of. Whenever you want to tell fact, if you want to hide the fact, remember this discussion. And just think yourself, can I tell the fact? Is something going to wrong? No. Then tell the fact and finish the matter. Stop it. Unnecessarily we are prolonging it and increasing the complications. And finally, in yoga practice, we are unfoldment of the realities, self-realization is the aim of yoga. If you want to realize something, real truth, you must be able to accept the facts. But that is the ultimate aim. But in the intermediate stage also, if we just follow this rule of telling the facts, not telling false things, that will improve our personality. Because fact is not going to change even if you tell something. So fact will remain as fact, and sometimes it will be disclosed. And that time people will know that you have told something false. So that is very bad on the personality. So in many cases, it is definitely useful to follow the fact or this rule, satya, truthfulness. We'll go to the next one, asteya, non-stealing. So stealing means to take anything without the permission of its owner. It's a legal definition because it's a legal offense. These are the basic necessities of the life. So we must get food, otherwise we will not survive. But just getting food, what food we get? Proteins, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, salts. But we don't eat like proteins, minerals and salts and carbohydrates and fats. We eat some types of preparations. Okay, just carbohydrate we cannot eat, but we have to prepare something so we can add something, taste and all, then it's okay. So that becomes comfort. Eating only carbohydrates, proteins is necessities. That is necessary requirement by the body. But we modify it to our taste, smell, sensual pleasures. So it is comfort. And beyond that we become very delicious dishes which contains no nutrients but just the taste. And we pay a lot of money also for them. That is luxury. So these are three levels accepted in economics also. But considering all these, we go on increasing our demands. Because of this, we go on increasing our demands. And when we increase the demands, we fulfill them. We spend a lot of energy, money, time to fulfill them. And finally, we may not need it also. That is what is happening. Suppose you are going to certain mall for purchasing something. You have got list of items, 3 items you want to purchase. So you go to mall. And while coming back, you check up in your bag, you have purchased 10 items, not 3. Why for 7? Just because you like it. What are some reasons are there? You have got the money. So there is no question. You paid the money and purchased it. You say, oh, why I purchased it? Why you are worried about? But actually, why you needed it? You need 3 things, you purchase 10 things, so 7 things you are storing in the cupboard. Because you are not in need, but still you purchase, so you store in the cupboard. So every day you are putting something in the cupboard. After some time, the cupboard is full, so you purchase another cupboard to keep the things which you don't use. And likewise, you go on increasing the cupboards, then the room also is short, then you must build another room also to keep the cupboards in which you have to keep the things which you don't need. This is what is meant by aparigraha. This is parigraha. And this is normally happens. When you go home, you check up. Don't tell me, don't tell anybody else. But you check up yourself. How many things are there in your house which you have not used since months or years also? You will find there are some things which you have not used for last 10 years. Then why you have purchased it? There is no answer. So whatever you need, you must purchase. You must possess. But whatever you don't need, don't possess. Many times we are following, sometimes we are not following. Now, like in the example, now here you see, water bottles are there with everybody. Water is available here, so you come over here, take the water, one bottle fill, use it. When it is over, again you come and take it. It's good. That is the right way to behave. Suppose one student says, I can get 10 bottles filled. Yes, he can. It's free available, no problem. So he will bring 10 empty bottles. He will get the fill, the water post. And he will carry all 10 bottles to his room. Just see what is happening. Then he is keeping 10 bottles in his room, under his pot, and carrying only one bottle outside. So when he is outside the room with one bottle, he is thinking of the 9 bottles. So I kept 9 bottles in my room. If somebody takes it, what will happen? So he has got a lot of care. And suppose when he comes back, he sees only 5 bottles. Oh, where are the 4 bottles? He starts shouting. I kept 9 bottles, now there are only 5. Somebody has taken my 4. He will start complaining and all that. Why for this? You are not doing it, but suppose if somebody does, that is against this principle. That whatever you need, you must take. Whatever you don't need, don't take. That is the basic thing. And this is true, not for articles, but for money also. We must earn the money, no doubt. But how much we must earn? Whatever is needed for us, that much we must earn. People are earning money more than the need. And then store the money in the cupboards. The cupboards are full and then they arrange for the securities. They spend a lot of time and money for maintaining and security for that money, which is not needed. Constant fear of losing also. So a lot of money is there in the cupboard. If somebody takes it, what is going to happen? Actually, that is not needed, but still the fear is there. They are unnecessarily suffering all these things. Feeling of pain if actually lost. They lose 50 millions of money, 50%. You will see their pain. Oh, I lost so much of money. But why you have kept it when you don't need it? But all this fear, pain, it follows. Because a parigraha is not done. And feeling of regret to leave them behind, then bidding goodbye to the world again. So everywhere we are increasing the complications. So with this you can understand that we are increasing the complications of our life, stress on the mind, different emotions, unnecessarily. So control. Whenever you are purchasing or getting the things, you just think that do you need it? Don't get it. When you think I don't need it, then don't get it. Let it lie there. Why you want to spend your time, energy and money just for the thing which you don't need? So this is a thought we must sow in our mind. So every time it will remind you. Whenever the question of possessing something comes, this thought will remind you, oh, is it essentially required? Minimize your needs. First you fulfill your needs. Don't go beyond. But afterwards, it is said in yoga that you try to minimize the needs. That will reduce the disturbance in our life, physical and mental. Of course, this will depend subjective. Nobody can give the guidelines. You should earn only $10 a day or $5 a day or $15 a day. That will depend on you, that you decide. Yamas are to be followed fully irrespective of place, time, caste, without exception. That is mentioned by Patanjali. Because he is giving the all targets only. Then you have to follow 100%. But this is target. You have to start from where you are. So higher practice yoga, it is okay, we can agree. But when you undertake yoga practice, try to follow yamas as much as you can. So this is a very important guideline. Because 100% following is not possible. But it doesn't mean that we should totally avoid. So let us start whatever is possible, wherever is possible. If you feel not possible, don't worry. Break it. When you think that yes, this time it is possible to speak truth, then speak truth only. Why tell false? If you think this time it is possible to follow a parigraha, say don't purchase. So this is up to you. There is one more point that yoga, yamaniyam and asana pranayam, these components you know, these are complementary to each other. If you follow yama and niyam, you will be able to perform asana and pranayam better. Because by following yama and niyam, your mind will be flexible, the body will be flexible, so you will be practicing asanas proper. And vice versa also. If you do the asanas and pranayamas properly, you will tend to follow yamas and niyamas. This is our experience. So you also realize these facts. You will note these facts and you will realize within few months that there is some change in your mental attitude. Because following yama niyama will help to attain the goal of yoga, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That is controlling the mind.
What about the exact translation?
Yes. Chitta means mind. Vritti means modification of mind. And nirodha means to control. So in the other way it is controlling the function of mind. Modification is function. So controlling the function of mind is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That is a target of yoga. Target and means also. Means also the same thing and target also same. Hari Om.